Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Miguel with SoCal Watch Reviews podcast. We are super excited today. We got a very special guest. I can't even believe we got this guy on, and we had a lot of technical difficulties, so I feel very embarrassed. But that's technology for you. P. Ross, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy P. Ross, and we are back in the building with another one.
That's right, man. Look, I don't want to let this guy sit there too long. He's been he's been really cool, very patient. So P. Ross, why don't we do this? Do the intro, man, and we'll get into the discussion.
First of all, we have a legend, another legend.
That's an
in
understatement.
The watch space, okay?
100%.
This guy is representing and part of one of the biggest YouTube and watch conglomerates of all time. You understand what I'm saying? And
True.
He has ventured out on his own with his own YouTube channel, and he's doing his own thing. You know what I mean?
While still doing the big thing. So.
Right, while still doing the big thing. You know what I mean? So with no further ado, let's get into it. We have Mr. Talking Hands himself, Andrew Morgan, in the building, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. Ooh.
Andrew, welcome.
Thank you. This is all very exciting. Yeah, you have to understand, I come from a very small country where everyone talks very quietly. So this is pretty cool.
Oh, we're very loud over here. Very loud.
Thank you very much for having me on. To be honest, the pleasure is all mine. This is very exciting, and I feel very privileged to be able to talk to people around the world about watches, as opposed to mainly really talking to myself just into a microphone.
Right on.
I know what that's like, man. I know that's like you're like talking to yourself, and you finish, and you're like, yeah, I wonder if anybody's gonna watch this, and you put it out, and you get people commenting, and you're like, oh yeah, hey, people are watching, but it's different doing something on your own and then interacting with people. You know, it's always fun, man. But thank you so much again for coming on. I've been watching your videos forever. I've learned so much from your channel, and of course we'll go into why you started a YouTube channel and all that stuff. But thank you for everything you do for the watch community. You probably don't even realize how much you do, but you do a lot. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's very, very kind. Thank you. I really do.
Yeah, man. That. Well, before we get into the discussion, I am very curious. I think I know what you got on the wrist, because I could, you know, with all the technical difficulties, I saw your wrist a bunch of times. But why don't you let us know what's on your wrist?
I don't think there'll be any surprise that I'm wearing my Tudor Black Bay. But I can give you a little exclusive, actually. I have recently purchased a new watch. I'm not wearing it right now. So my wife has just purchased me a brand new watch. In fact, let me flip this around. Care to have a guess as to what my wife might have just purchased for me?
Oh my God. Wait. So have you been wanting this for a long time?
I've been wanting this watch since I was a kid.
Submariner.
No, he already had one. He already had one. He sold it. Man, I don't. Breitling? I don't. Oh, man, I don't. Maybe you said it in one of your videos, but you put out so much content. I mean, maybe missed it. But let's take a guess. Let's take a guess, P. Let's see.
Shall I give you another clue? So I've wanted this watch. I've had this watch before when I was a kid.
Oh, when you were a kid.
I've wanted it ever since I was a kid again. So I just to let you know, I don't come from a very good household. I didn't have Submariner as a kid, but I did have
G-Shock.
Small. You're on the right lines. You're very close.
F91W.
That's it. My wife came home the other day.
Dang.
F91W.
Yeah.
One for
I should
her
have guessed that.
in blue, and one for me in black. Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Classic
That's
watch.
so
Classic
cool.
watch.
Absolutely,
Good guess, P.
Yeah.
Good guess, P.
Oh yeah,
man. I'm excited for you. That's better than
like
the Tudor.
Most watches people had as kids are Casios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
It was like strapping it onto my wrist, and I felt like I'd forgotten to do my homework. It was a bit of a flashback.
That's crazy. You know what? My very first watch, and I still have it in the watch box, is Casio Databank, the calculator watch, and it still works. Yeah. And I still have it, and I cheated a lot as a kid with that one. I had it in 4th grade, 5th grade, so I've had it for years, man. And I have Then I bought another one, which I still have, and then I bought a brand new one for my son. So we all have Casio calculators. I never wear them. I should, but Casio is just near and dear to my heart as well. So
Yeah, they're so cool, aren't they?
Sure.
And I'm very grateful to my wife for purchasing it for me as well.
did you ask
That's
her?
what's
Did she
up.
just surprise you, or
Complete surprise. Yeah.
wow.
She said, "Do you want the big box or the little box?"
And you're
I
like,
just
what?
assumed that was a trick, so I said the little one, and it had a Casio.
Right.
Wow. That's cool, man. That's cool. So you're wearing the Tudor Black Bay 58, yeah?
I am, yeah. Now I feel bad that I'm not wearing the Casio, but I wore that all day
Wow.
yesterday, so I thought I need to get some wind into the Black Bay. So I've got that on.
Question.
Right
So I noticed it on the NATO that it comes with. Did you buy it on the bracelet or just on the NATO?
I am a very cheap man, so I bought it on the NATO. I thought I'd save myself a few £100 and
Got
get the
it. Got
NATO.
it.
I generally don't like bracelets so much either.
Oh, you
I
don't?
prefer
Okay.
straps. Yeah, I've got a very hairy wrist, as you guys probably know, and bracelets have a habit of getting all tangled up in there and pulling all my hairs out.
I get that. I get that. All right. P. Ross, what are you rocking, man?
I am rocking the Exciting 2
Oh, cool.
from J&G. One of the needless to say, this is one of the probably best watches ever for the price.
Yeah,
You know
we'll
what I mean?
we'll tell Andrew about it. He's probably
Right.
hasn't heard about it, but we got a listener
No?
of the podcast, and James, and he's been super supportive, right? And all of a sudden I get this message saying, "Hey Miguel, I'm a huge fan of yours," and I'm like, "Well, that's crazy to hear, right?" Because I'm like, I'm a small
Right.
channel. I don't, whatever. I'm not Andrew, but I'm like, "Oh, cool, thanks." He's like, "Hey, you know what? I am developing this watch with a YouTuber, and would you be interested in knowing more?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So long story short, we had him and his friend Gary, or business partner Gary from I Like Watches, that's his YouTube channel, on the show. And James is he pretty much, like, what do you do, P? He engineered the bracelet, and
Yeah.
he taught himself like how to do all this stuff. But anyway, sub $300. I think it's sub $300.
Yep.
Stainless steel sapphire Miyota 9000 series, and it was only sold exclusively pretty much to like the fans of like
Right.
the YouTube channel. So, and then he sent us the watch for having him on the podcast. So thank you so much, James, if you're listening.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, they may make some more. I don't know, and I don't really know if they're trying to develop a brand or if it was just kind of like an exercise of like, let's do this and raise some money and give back to the community. Because I mean, for less than $300, you're getting a lot of watch. A whole lot of watch. So that's a story there with that one. But
everything about that sounds awesome. Nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Grand Seiko SBGM 221, beautiful, on a Vario. I don't know if you ever heard of this company, Andrew, but Vario, they make really nice straps. I know the owner, Ivan, he's super cool. Great straps for the money, man. But yeah, SBGM 221. I don't wear it much. I got it a few months ago. I should wear it much, or more, I should say. But GMT watch, working on a video review for this one, and Grand Seiko, man. I mean, you have one, right? You still have yours.
Yeah.
Beautiful watches.
You guys get great strap options out there as well. We get nothing. We get bits of old rope and old SDR cables and things like that.
Hey, look, man.
Do.
Look, you get some great companies out there. Watch Gecko. I mean, right? Watch Gecko, huge. The great straps. But yeah, I work with a lot of people. When you're a small YouTube channel, you support each other, and I support different companies. And Vario is. I'll send you a DM because he makes some amazing things for the money, and he likes to collaborate with people, of course, So I'll send you the information. I hope we stay in touch after this. I think you and I hit it off, and we've been talking. So that's awesome. I still can't believe it, but so Andrew, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. But I correct me if I'm wrong. You haven't been on many podcasts. I know Scottish Watches, but I don't know. Is there another podcast you've been on?
I think we did the Blog to Watch podcast about a week ago.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
I haven't been on many at all because really we've been in the Watchfinder dungeon making videos for the last few years.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, but really what it is, it's just more that between myself, Tom, and Chloe, who make these videos, we didn't really realize that people actually like our videos. It kind of, I don't know, maybe that sounds really naive and silly to say, but we work on the videos we publish, and we work on the next videos we publish them, and it's all been very kind of insular for us. So when we went to Watches and Wonders this year, and people were saying, "Oh, are you the guys from Watchfinder? Do you do the?" We realized, as in the same way that talking to you now, we realized that people, real human beings, were out there who watched our stuff.
Yeah.
And so it made me think, oh, do you know what? I need to get involved more with people. I browse forums, I watch other people's content, and it's all kind of anonymous. And I've never really thought at any point that anyone on any of those platforms would have any interest in talking to me or to us about what we do. And it was kind of a bit of a kick in the pants at Watches and Wonders, where people were saying, no, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to engage.
Yeah.
So yeah, here I am.
Right. So, I mean, what is that experience like, coming from, Watchfinder to coming into your own and being more into the community? You know what I mean? Have you learned anything new?
Yeah, well, it's, this is happening, still working with Watchfinder, still doing all the Watchfinder stuff, and Watchfinder very kindly sent me 2 Watches and Wonders. But it's more about meeting people and realizing that they have an interest in our content, and the feeling there is bizarre. It's kind of indescribable that someone in another country can recognize you by your voice and say, hey, you're that guy.
Right.
It is wild. It's utterly wild.
Crazy.
I mean, the humbleness is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Because as many subscribers as y'all have and as popular as y'all are, it's amazing that you wouldn't think that. You know what I mean?
He's humble. He's a humble guy, man.
The humbleness is amazing for sure.
I wouldn't call it humble. The way I would describe it as being a creative, and you guys, you create stuff too. You probably feel the same thing about the work that you do. Whenever you create something, you're always looking to see what's wrong with it so you can improve it. So in your mind, everything you do isn't good enough. Everything you do could be better. And so you don't think, hey, I've made this thing and everyone loves it, I'm so great. You think, oh, do you know, the last time I did this, I did it better and it got better views, and people said this in the comments and people said that. And so in my mind, it's there's a kind of a big separation between what people like you guys are telling me and how I actually feel about the work that we do. But I think that's just part and parcel of being a creative and being someone that wants to push their own personal boundaries and become better.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, speaking, I'm curious, because when I put my videos together, right, I do some research on the internet, and there's contradicting information everywhere, right? Because anybody and everybody can go on the internet and write whatever they want. And I have gotten some facts wrong, and people call you out on the videos, right? But your stuff,
they love to do that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they love to do that. So your stuff, though, is so well researched, and the crazy thing is, there's information you throw out there sometimes that I'm like, how do you find this stuff? Not only that, you guys put out so many videos, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, if I did that much research, it will take me a month to create one video. How, if you don't mind sharing with us, where do you find your information from, and where do you, I don't know, how do you pull the information together and create these videos, man? They're amazing. Your storytelling, the information, the humor in there. I mean, it's just, I just love the videos. But sorry, I'm talking too much.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'll never get tired of hearing people say they enjoy stuff, and it's the primary reason that I like doing what I do, is because this sense that you have done something that has changed someone else's life, even if in a small way, but for the better, is such a rewarding feeling. But how do I do it? So I think this is very deep rooted in the kind of person that I am. So if I'm thinking about buying something, like let's say I want to buy a pair of headphones, I don't just go to the shop and go, oh, those will do. I read everything on the internet about it. I just consume, and I consume like a robot. And the same is true of watches. And there is so much to know about watches. And I've been
Right.
consuming that knowledge about watches for, oh God, over 15 years. You know,
Okay.
so you kind of amass this useless. you take a part of your brain that could be used for something practical and useful, like learning another language or something like that. And no, you fill it full of watch nonsense instead.
Watch stuff. Yeah.
And I have to say as well, a lot of the brands, they say stuff about their own brands that isn't true either, because so much of that knowledge
Panerai.
is almost it's almost myth level at this point. There are different takes from different people who were told by someone at the time, and there's nothing really to prove or deny it. So when you're talking about, I don't know, the first watchmaker to create the perpetual calendar wristwatch, was it Breguet? Was it Patek Philippe? Neither of them can really definitively say it was one or the other. So it just becomes a legend for the ages. And so after all of this time, kind of reading those things, you have that knowledge kind of on tap, and it gives you a direction to go in. So for me, when I write a script about something, I'm sure people in the comments will say, you write about Rolex. But when I write a script about something, what I usually do is I have a couple of things in mind, like waypoints in a journey. So I see it and I think, oh, do you know, that watch has been built to look a little bit like this older watch here. It's kind of all this vintage vibe, or it has this technology. And I access the little bits of information that I have about that and try and root out a narrative. And then the research online, or kind of in any books or anything like that, is then just trying to join those dots or just kind of prove the point that I'm trying to make. So I come from a novel writing background personally. So I've been writing novels for 20 years, really only for my own amusement. I used to sell them on Amazon, but not so much anymore since Amazon ruined everything. But what I really got into there was this idea of narrative structure, like how you introduce something, how you build it up, how you then bring it back down again, and how you resolve it so you have a satisfying journey, if you like, through that story. And so I tried to find little fact points that act as those beats in that story to offer an experience for the listener, for the viewer, that resolves nicely and leaves them feeling like they've had a positive, entertaining experience. So the facts themselves, more often than not, I'll have that string of main things that I want to do. And while I'm Googling those, I just find a little nugget of something else. And I think, oh, that's cool. How can I weave that in? And so you start to get, if you think about it as, again, as a narrative, you might have your kind of your A plot, the hero, and then you might have your subplots, the B plots, like the love interest. But those will just be like, oh, the guy who invented this also did that. How interesting is that? And once you have all of those things, and once you've done it enough times, it actually happens quite easily. So for me, a script will take an hour and a half to write.
No way.
From start to finish.
Wow.
And it's just experience. It's just having done it 300 or however many times. It's kind of no real secret. It's just repetition.
He's just that good, P. There's no secret.
Right,
He's just that good.
No doubt.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Oh, you're making me look like
wow. Okay, well, thank you for listening. You have, man, I'm serious. You just hit on something really interesting. When I watch your videos, you do this thing with your voice where you're just like you go in waves. You're so right. I don't know how to explain it. You do this weird thing where it's like it's like a journey. I'm listening to this story, and then you could go like kind of loud, and then you get really low, and then it's just you play with your voice so good that it's not monotone at all. Like the journey just between seeing the macro shots of whoever does your video, great job, and your voice, and then that little Watchfinder song playing in the background throughout the whole video, which I'm sure some people probably find annoying because I get people telling me like, oh, why do you have to play music throughout your whole video? It's like, whatever,
yeah, I get
up.
that a lot too.
Shut up. It's entertaining, whatever. But man, congrats. Just
yes, sir.
Yeah, you're the GOAT.
Thank you. Oh, hang on. A jet fighter is about to go past. Bear with. Sorry, there's an air display happening just down the road from here.
That's so cool. Sponsored by Breitling. Sponsored by Breitling. I'm just kidding.
So
it's the Red Arrows. Sorry.
There are a few things that are legendary in the watch community, right? I feel like Miguel's journey with his SBP is a legendary journey.
Ooh, you guys got to cover this SPB 143, man. You got to cover this Seiko.
And
that's so cool.
You know, his journey with that, you know, I feel like I have a legendary tale with the debacle with the whole traveling watch guy and my response to it. You know what I mean? And you actually showed your face finally.
That was huge.
That was huge. And I remember getting the messages and everybody sending screenshots. This is what he looks like. This is what he looks like. You know what I mean? So what
everyone was saying,
you...
how disappointing.
Unsubscribe. Right. I'm just kidding.
So what made you show your face, and why did you start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, your own YouTube channel. Yeah, very interested to know.
Yeah, so when you grow a big channel, as I have discovered, the one of the things that you find is that deviating from what you do is very, very difficult. And we have some great plans between myself, Tom, and Chloe, who are the guys who together have worked out those awesome macro shots to create some new different types of content as well for different kinds of people who are into watches.
Oh, cool.
But then there was just these little stories here and there that I wanted to tell by myself. And I thought, you know, I wanted to be a bit more animated with it. I wanted to kind of move away from perhaps the higher production values that we're known for, and I needed a place to put them. So I created my own channel for that. So it's just a little outlet for some of the fun little knickknacks that I've discovered over time. Kind of maybe some of my personal opinions on watches, some of the interactions between films or sports and stuff that I enjoy too, that I didn't think would work over on the main channel. Probably the stuff that would do really badly on the main channel is it's probably what I'm trying to say.
Wow. So question, so your Watchfinder, right? Your employer, how do they feel about you starting your own YouTube channel? That they care, that they tell you anything? Because, you know, it's a lot of times conflict of interest gets thrown around, at least here in the US, right? You want to do your own thing on the side, and your boss tells you, no, there's no way. You can't. So how did that go about? How did that conversation even go?
Yeah, well,
they don't know yet. They don't know yet.
They're really cool with it because they know that ultimately it's putting more content out there with me in it, and that association is always positive. The whole factor that has been the backbone of the Watchfinder channel is the sense of independence. You know, so people say, oh, Richemont tell you to feature watches, and Watchfinder are telling you to feature this because you've got a load of them for sale. It's never been the case. I know people won't believe it, but I open the website and I go, that one. Or I see a watch that we don't even sell, and I call up the people, or I send them a message and say, hey, can we feature your watch? And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And Watchfinder have always been cool with that. So they also appreciate, oh man, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this now. There is a sheep outside making a load of noise.
But that's cool. Man, where does it, you live in a farm or something? That's kind of cool.
I live where I live used to be a farm, and it's been converted into houses, but there's still kind of a field behind it that has sheep.
That's
and these
cool,
sheep
though.
are actually
cool.
Pets of one of my neighbors.
Oh God.
And I made the mistake of, they said, my neighbor said, oh, they really like treats. You should feed them treats. And I said, oh, what do you feed them? She said gummy worms. I said, I'm not going to feed them gummy worms.
Gummy worms.
So I Googled it, and Google said they like bananas. So I fed one a banana, and now it comes to the end of the fence.
Died.
It's only a small garden.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God, can you imagine? It comes to the end of the fence, and it shouts at me. It's a shame you can't hear it, but they're just it's like
it's like a minion pea. Banana. You can just hear the sheep right there. Like man. Yeah. Anyway, so face reveal was that nerve-wracking?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Watchfinder are cool with it. That's the main thing. It's all part of kind of building out. I guess you could call it my brand. if you like.
Yeah.
If I'm even cool enough to have such a thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's all cool.
Man, so was it? Were you nervous to show your face? Is there a reason why you never showed your face on the Watchfinder channel? Did you guys talk about it beforehand, or what's the deal with that?
Well, you're looking at my face, so you tell me if there's a reason why I should have been nervous about showing it.
No, man. I honestly, I mean, I would have done it from day one. I would have shown your face from day one. You know.
Yeah, well, it's the reason that we didn't do it originally is because the idea of the Watchfinder channel isn't for me to say I'm Andrew and this is what you should think about watches based on my opinion. The whole idea was to let viewers see through my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, hence the view from my face, if you like, looking at the hands, so that the viewer could feel like they were holding the watch and they were experiencing it. And the stories are designed as well, not to say this is good and this is bad. It's more to say this is the story behind this watch and you can make of it whatever you like.
Right.
And you'll see in the comments, someone will say, oh, you're always hating on Rolex. And other people say, oh, you're always sucking up to Rolex, about the same video, because they have taken their own interpretation of the brand from it.
Right.
And so with mine, it's more about, hey, this is what I think. This is what really tickles me about watches. And so it makes sense for it to come out of my face.
I see what you're saying.
And, you know, I thought, why not? Everyone has been good boys and girls, and they deserve to see what they've been asking for after all this time. And hopefully they're all very disappointed.
So let me ask you something on your channel, which is, what's the name of it? Andrew Morgan Watches, correct? That's the name of your YouTube channel.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So the question that I have is, on the Watchfinder channel, you present watches. And again, you're not reviewing a watch. You're just basically presenting a watch with a little bit of opinion here and there, but it doesn't seem biased. In my opinion, it doesn't seem biased. So my question is, on your channel, are you going to review watches, or are you just going to do watch related content? Because that's what I've noticed on your channel. You talk about watches and movies and different things like that, but you don't review a watch. So will you review a watch, or are you going to stay away from that?
Possibly. I think it's really equipment and finance dependent. So some of the things that I've been really itching to do is to talk about watches in movies and to talk about the watches. Yeah. So we just recorded a video about the watches worn in Formula One, because some of the stories behind that, the relationships behind that, are really interesting.
That's cool.
And I think, maybe to do reviews in the future. But again, I don't really want to tread on the toes of what already exists that I create. I want this to be like a little pocket of something else. And maybe people will like that, or maybe they'll think it's utter rubbish. But early days yet. So
Come on, man. I mean, you just started your channel. You're going to hit 4,000 subscribers, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I just need to make a message.
Congratulations, man. So.
Thank you. Yeah, a big help from Nico Leonard, actually, who gave me a shout out to his subscriber base. Got a nice lump of views and subscribes from that.
Don't worry. Once we give you a shout out, you'll hit 100,000. No problem. We don't have that ourselves, but you'll get there.
Yeah. Blow up easy. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
Don't worry about it.
I certainly hope so.
We got you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. You know, like it's intermingling with the watch community. You have people who listen to you and they trust you, and for me it's a real privilege to kind of like have your approval to them. It's, you know, your audience are important to you and mine are important to me, and sharing those is a bit like kind of letting someone hold your baby a bit, isn't it? You're like, careful with it, please don't throw it down the stairs or
no, for sure. No, and you hit a really good point. Like, honestly, we've discussed having some guests in the past, and either I don't feel good about it or P doesn't feel good about it, and we just kind of dismiss that one person, right? Because we just don't feel it fits with our personalities or our beliefs. But for the most part, every single person that we've had on this show, we could stand behind and we could put our seal of approval of that, if that means anything. But it's real people, man. And honestly, anybody listening and watching, Andrew's like super cool, down to earth. Like, we've had, obviously we're not going to name any names, but we've had some people that don't have even this much of the following of our man here, but man, they are divas, and they have all these demands, and and we're just like, what the hell? Like, but this guy is just super cool. So hey, go follow him. If you're mid podcast pause it, go to YouTube, find him. Andrew Morgan Watches. Awesome guy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, here's a good one. Rolex versus Tudor.
Ooh, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
including the recent robberies
everywhere. That's crazy what's going on, man.
It is, isn't it? It's such a shame. It's horrible for the people who get their watches stolen, but I also think it's horrible that people find themselves in a situation that that's what they've got to resort to. You know,
right, of course, yeah.
Like it's the world seems to be getting a little bit more of a desperate place every single day. And I'm pretty certain people aren't robbing those watches for the lols, but nevertheless, you want to be able to, if you've worked hard and you've purchased something, you want to be able to enjoy it without feeling afraid.
I agree.
I really don't know what the answer is. It's not to not buy the products that you want. You don't want to live in fear. That's definitely not it. You don't want to let them get you down, but you also you just be careful, really, don't you? But yeah, big shame, big shame.
So I was watching something online, and they were talking about how easy it is to take let's say a richer meal off someone's wrist, and like the process of that, you know what I mean? Wow. It's like a distraction, and then someone comes to shake your hand, and then you got their full attention, and they just slip the watch off your wrist. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Wow. You know, P. Ross was taking notes. Hold on, slow down.
No doubt. No,
send me those notes, P. Send me those notes. Send them to Andrew too.
I will. But it was amazing the way that it went down, and someone had an actual like video where it happened to them. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Slipped the watch right off his wrist.
Yeah, I mean, take that out of the terror of being robbed and put it on a stage as an entertainment piece, and the idea of being able to do that. I've seen videos of people who take things out of people's pockets, take their watch off.
Oh yeah.
Take things out of their wallet and put their wallet back, and the person has no idea. It's a very impressive skill for sure.
Right.
I just wish they could, I don't know, make money out of that doesn't involve stealing other people's stuff.
Right.
Yeah, use that skill for good, man.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say use that skill for good and become a magician or something. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're gonna steal stuff, at least sell it and give the money to the community or something.
That's very true.
Robin Hood.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like that, yeah.
But you know what's something super scary? I posted something on my stories on Instagram yesterday. There's this video by Vice. They made a video about social media and how they flex, right? People flex online and you know, I have these cars and this watch and whatever, but people are watching you. And especially if you do lives because you're an idiot and you're like, oh, I'm here. They know you're not at home. And they probably already know where you live, you know, and that's one of the scary things for me. Scary and at the same time very, very sad and disappointing. So I recently was lucky enough, fortunate enough I sold a bunch of things, saved up and bought my first Rolex. And I have not I talked about it in a previous podcast, but I have yet to do anything on video or even like publicly really talk about it a lot for the same reason. Because I'm like, to me, it's a very special watch, but for somebody that's not into watches, they don't know the connection of what it is. They just know the brand and like, I want to steal it. What else does he have? And it really kind of, it made me very sad and disappointed because it's like, if I want to share with the people that have followed me, it's not about look what I bought or look at the money. It's not about that, right? The money was there with other watches. I just consolidated. It's not about that. It's more about, hey guys, we did it. I wanted this for so long. We did it. We're a team. But to know that I can't do that or I'm fearful of it because I'm going to put my family in jeopardy, possibly, is very disappointing and very disturbing. And it's like, how do I move forward, right? How do you present it? How do you share that with your viewers, with people who supported you without getting into trouble, if you will? So I don't know. I'm just disappointed with that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. You have to be very careful generally, don't you? There's kind of people steal your data. They steal your car,
Everything.
they steal whatever. I had a car stolen from me a few years back, actually, and
Oh man.
The people who stole it came to view it because it was for sale, and a family turned up, husband, wife, and some kids, and they were looking at the car. And it turns out that to steal the car, whilst the bonnet, the hood, as you guys would call it, was up, and I was talking to the wife, the husband was in the car cloning the key, and so woke up the next
No
morning
way.
and the car was gone. Thankfully, I had gap insurance. I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but
we do.
So I had that, so it actually kind of it made it okay. But like the terror of knowing that you had spoken to these people and how they had been so friendly directly to my face, only to come back later and steal the car, was just crazy to me. But you can't let that stuff get to you, can you? You can't let fear stop you from enjoying the life that you want to enjoy. You can be careful about it, for sure.
That's true.
And that's what I say. Like, because you can buy a Rolex or not buy a Rolex. If you buy a Tudor, probably to the person who would perceive you to be a target, they would probably see them as the same thing anyway. Just be careful. Just be careful. Don't drive your Ferrari with your arm hanging out the window with your roof on it, because you're asking for it, then, aren't you?
But I mean, that sucks.
Just be sensible.
That sucks too, though, right? I mean, if you're in a position to own a Ferrari and own a richer meal, that person can't even enjoy themselves anymore because somebody's so jealous or so desperate to steal something that they can't even do that anymore, right?
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks.
It does suck. And I also think as well, kind of as the contra to that if you can afford a richer meal, then you can afford a Ferrari. Yeah, you should be able to enjoy it however which way you like. But there are a lot of people out there who can't even get a car to run, let alone. So there's a sensitivity, and I think when you have the kind of money to enjoy and purchase some of these things, I think it does come with a bit of a social responsibility too. Like I don't know, this is kind of morality talk, if you like, but just to be sensitive to the people around you too. So I don't know, drive it somewhere expensive.
Right.
Yeah, well, deviating from all the negativity and the robberies, what I really want to know, and we don't have to go deep into this, just your quick perspective, Rolex versus Tudor. There's a lot of people that have been hating on Rolex, and obviously for obvious reasons, right? Because you can't get them and this and that, and they're acting all weird. So they've actually started looking at Tudor. You own a Tudor, I own a Tudor, P. Ross owns a Tudor, and a lot of people that we do own Tudors. They're great watches. They're beautifully built, and obviously they have some kind of connection to Rolex, but everybody obviously keeps seeing, not everybody, but a lot of people still keep seeing Tudor as inferior, lower product, is a cheaper product that Hansi was building in the beginning. And I mean, there's some truth to that, but I think now we all could agree that Tudor's its own thing. They're amazing watches, and you don't buy a Tudor. In my opinion, you don't buy a Tudor because you can't buy a Rolex. You buy a Tudor because you want a Tudor, right? So in your opinion, if you were given that you have $10,000 to spend, right, and you were given the choice, like buy a Rolex or buy a Tudor and have extra money, what would you do and why?
Well, I think there's so much. There's so much going on with it, and a lot of people allow their feelings to control what they think the truth is. I mean, the truth is, the fact of the matter, Rolex has done very, very well as a business, and it's capitalizing on that. It's moved its products up market. It's dressed them with shiny bezels and shiny cases to appeal to an audience that has a bit more money. Now, you could say, oh, boo, Rolex, that's terrible. You've made your products unaffordable now to the people who could afford them before. That is the case. But you could also look at it from the perspective that they have backfilled in with Tudor. So for me, buying a Tudor is something that means I can access that vintage look of Rolex, but without putting an enormous amount of money into it. And now actually there are some Rolexes that I also really like the look of. Do you know what? I never thought I'd like a fluted bezel Datejust. Am I getting old? Am I getting old because I like them now?
Yes, you are.
Is that an old thing? Is that like when you start getting all the gray hairs?
Right.
Seep into your brain?
Is the fluted bezel kind of like the Nike Monarch?
Oh God. Well, also two-tone,
like
right? Two-tone,
the dad watch.
The dad watch. The
I'm
dad watch. There you go.
I'm going to start tucking my t-shirt into my pants now.
Oh,
that's it.
Oh no.
Yay. So okay, so let's recap. So $10,000, what are you buying? You buying one Rolex, or you buying a Tudor and keeping the money and feeding the sheep a bunch of bananas?
Organic.
If I were investing $10,000 into a watch and it had to be a Tudor or Rolex, can I just have one of each? Because if I'm lucky enough to get an Oyster Perpetual at RRP, I can have both, can't I?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
My wife is desperate for a Datejust or an Oyster Perpetual, and we're on a waiting list. I don't think I've danced well enough, or I don't know. I don't know what it is you have to do, but we've not got that call yet. But I'm gonna say the answer that you didn't offer and say both, please.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Great answer. All right.
All right. So, if you had to recommend a sub $1,500 watch, including micro brands, they're definitely welcome. What watch would you pick?
Oh wow, there are so many great choices, and to avoid the question for a little bit while I think, I have to say, like, while you can't now go and buy a Rolex Submariner for $3,000 anymore, what you have instead is access to an enormous amount of micro brands, and it's just fantastic to see them popping up, and to see people who are real watch enthusiasts at the helm. Like, it's a very different flavor, isn't it? It's a bit more like when you had someone like Jules Audemars founding his brand because he's a watchmaker and he wants to make watches. You've got people like that now. High-end people making incredible independent watchmakers that cost many tens of thousands of pounds, but also then fans. So I was talking to Richard Bentz the other day, the founder of Studio Underdog. He's a graphic designer, and the passion that you get from him is nothing like the kind of the dreary press talk that you might get from a brand. This is a guy who's like, I did this and I put my money into it and I risked it because I love watches and I love designing them and I just wanted to create something. Right. And that for me gives you something else. So you can buy a watch from him for less than $1,500, way less, and you're buying into some passion and some interest. Same with Baltic as well. I really love Baltic. The Micro Rotor watch, Chinese movement, kind of most of the parts are made in China and assembled in France. But the guy is like, I wanted to make a watch that I loved, that was different, that was interesting, and he did that. And you can just see from the response, and very affordable. Yeah, you can see from the response that people have had. Well, I think a friend of mine purchased one. He got one of the second batch, and he could list that now for 2-3 times the price if he wanted to, which is crazy. Yeah, it's utterly crazy. But of course, if you want to, like for $1,500, you could tap into Hamilton and Tissot. Get some great watches there. The PRX is just fantastic. Like, I'm going to bang a drum here that's got holes in it by this point, but the PRX is brilliant.
Great watch.
Whether you go quartz or mechanical, it's just an entry point into a watch. And there's something about them as well that I really like. If you ever buy a vintage watch and you look at the quality of it, it's not as good as the best watches today. Like, a vintage Rolex is not the same quality as a Rolex today, because the manufacturing processes they had weren't as accurate. They didn't have CNC machines and all that fancy stuff. So when you buy a more affordable watch from a lower price Swiss watchmaker or an independent, a Kickstarter type independent, you notice the quality actually looks like a vintage watch because they're using the cheaper processes, and actually that gives them a certain charm that's really, really enjoyable.
Cool.
So
that's a lot of lots of choices. We recently had Mike France on the show, the CEO of Christopher Ward, one of the co-founders. Great value for money as well. I don't know if you ever had a chance to experience them in the metal, Andrew, but Christopher Ward is making some really nice things too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't actually. For my sins, there's a whole load that I've not been able to get involved with. And one thing that's really interesting actually is branching out and having my own Instagram channel. I get approached by a lot more people. It's given me a lot more access to different interesting watches, different people. I suppose people who thought I don't know, because it was part of Watchfinder that they couldn't contact me, or I'm not really sure. But now I've been able to get in touch with them and speak to more and more people. So hopefully it'll be even more brand experiences for me that I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me know. I mean, we know a lot of people. If you want to get connected, we could definitely help. And to kind of answer your question, because your doubt, that's exactly what it was. Because I always wanted to have you on the show, but I'm like, I don't even know how to go about it. How do I contact Watchfinder? But then I noticed you started your own thing, and I was like, oh, okay, it's him. Like, it was easy, right? So that's exactly what it is. You're more approachable now, as opposed to being, behind a big corporation. Now it's like you in the forefront, so
yeah.
So
And that's really another reason why I've done it. It's Watchfinder is demonstrating here that the people behind the channel are passionate and enthusiastic. It's not a marketing machine. It's not people who crunch the algorithm. It's people who go, oh, what should we write about next? And enjoy it.
I think that comes across. Honestly, it comes across because you could tell the channels, and I won't name any names, but there is channels out there that you could tell that they're just marketing their brand, their whatever, right? But you're not. You're super passionate, and you could tell that. So, and I've never bought a watch from Watchfinder just yet. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But when I see your videos pop up, it's more like a history lesson. Here we go.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I have one more question. And this is usually the kicker question for everybody that we ask.
Okay.
How do
I know
you
what's
feel
coming
about homage watches? Now, there was just a situation where I guess a brand named Sam Martin had released their version of the PRX. And they had a lot of people buzzing saying they would rather buy the Sam Martin for like $350?
It was $100 less than a PRX or something.
Right.
And
you know what I mean?
Why would you buy that?
They gonna buy that instead of buying the actual PRX. You know what I mean? I found that kind of
weird,
crazy. You know what I mean? And I just want to know, how do you feel about homage watches?
Like, and let's clarify, not homage watches in the sense that they take some cues, like, oh, it drew inspiration from. No, we're talking like straight up. It looks like
one-on-one copy,
like one-on-one copy. It just has a different name on the dial. That's those
pretty
are the
much what
homages
the Sam Martin look like. The
Pagani design, all these watches. So, what's your opinion on? What's your take, man?
Personally, they don't scratch the itch for me. If anything, they are just temporarily displaced finances until you then have to raise the money to buy the thing you wanted originally in the first place.
Right.
Very well put.
I do think, especially for brands whereby they're prohibitively expensive, perhaps, that's something that takes the spirit of that and creates it again, especially if it's a design that's been around for a very, very long time. I like those. I really do. There are some great options. But when you're saying it is a one-to-one copy, I mean, that's just lazy, right? If you've got the opportunity to make something, make it unique, make it you. Otherwise, it would be like me just transcribing someone else's video and just reading it out. Why would I do that? It's so unsatisfying. That's from the creator's perspective. From the owner's perspective, you've got the same thing. Maybe you want to see, is it worth buying a Daytona? And so you buy an Alpha and you can smash around in it and see what you think. But I don't know, just go to the shop and try one on for real.
Right.
I don't understand it. But then again, I'm not every person, and there might be some people out there who have really, really good reason that I've just completely not thought of.
Yeah. Great answer, man. Well, look, we don't want to hold you up much longer. I hope you're open to maybe coming in on the show in the future, doing some kind of collaboration. I'm gonna leave you with two questions. I don't want you to answer them. This is maybe for the future. We were gonna ask you, what's your favorite watch brand and why? And if you ever were or had the opportunity to become CEO of a company, what would be your first order of business? So hopefully we'll leave those questions out there. We could answer them in the future, but where can people find you, man?
Well, primarily on the Watchfinder channel, of course. I'll be there talking nonsense about watches. Sometimes with Tom as well. We'll chat nonsense about watches together. Or on my Andrew Morgan Watches channel, where all the bits that I thought were too rubbish for the Watchfinder channel end up.
Oh
Cool.
God, come on. No, everything is great content. And by the way, I do love those podcasts you guys started doing. That's pretty cool. It deviates from like the high production stuff, but your arguments, if you will, or the things you talk about are great. Are you going to turn that into a podcast form? Is it a podcast already? I know it's on the YouTube channel, but can people listen to it in their car?
That's a very good point. We have recently, in the last couple of weeks, uploaded them all to
Okay.
Apple, Spotify,
okay,
and
cool.
other places, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah,
awesome.
Thanks. It's a good reminder because I'd completely forgotten we'd done that.
There you go. Watchfinder podcast. Go check it out. P. Ross, where can people find you, buddy?
Yo, Ross Wristwatch Love everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, SoCal Watch Reviews podcast. We are the best podcast out there today. I'm calling
Bold statement.
But very bold. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It's all good. You know what I mean? Because we have dope guests. We have humble guests. And we're humble people ourselves. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Andrew, by the way,
got to own your thing, haven't you?
Yeah. By the way, when P. Ross flexes like that, we're humble around here. We're not. Honestly,
for sure.
We feel this is what we feel, right? We feel we've been doing this for over 2 years. We've had our YouTube channels for over 3 years, and honestly, I feel, in my opinion, my humble opinion, we're underrated. Why? I don't know. We just haven't gotten to that next level, but it's okay. The few people that listen are real people, are real supporters, and that's what we like. We don't want any people or persons or fans, whatever you want to call it, to see our stuff just because of the product, but us, right? And not just because of the guests, but because of us. But obviously it helps when we have badass people like Andrew on the show, and it definitely helps, you know.
But keep at it. Keep doing what you enjoy. You know, if you love it, it's not an effort, is it? It's always good fun.
Right. And I mean, it shows. We've had so many technical difficulties with this podcast, but we keep coming back to it because, man, people don't even know. But seriously, I personally enjoy this. I enjoy talking to you guys and talking about watches. And I know it's silly at the end of the day, right? It's watches, but there's so much more to it. It's a community. It's this unspoken language. I just can't describe it. There's something about watches, right? In the watch community that's so special. So
yes, sir. So what can people find you at, Miguel?
SoCal Watch Reviews on YouTube, Instagram. I have not posted on my Spanish channel in a while, but Andrew said he was going to speak Spanish. No, I'm just kidding. Relojeando is my Spanish channel. But yeah, Andrew's like, hey, I could be on your podcast as long as I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. you have to speak Spanish. I'm just kidding. But no, Andrew, thank you so much, man. We appreciate having you on, and I hope this is not the last time. You are such a cool guy. Like, honestly, we've had a lot of people that we've collaborated with, and it's only I could count with one hand how many people have actually been this cool that we're like, you know, this is a real person. This is just so cool, you know.
You're very, very kind. Yeah, I kind of don't know what to say. It's a bizarre experience getting to meet really interesting people like yourselves and talk to you about watches. And it is humbling, honestly. So thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for giving me a poke on Instagram. I've really, really enjoyed doing this, and like you say, hope to do many more with you.
All right. Well, go follow him. Go follow Andrew P. Ross. We'll follow myself. And as always, we're going to keep bringing content, and hopefully Andrew in the future and some other guests. But as always, my friends, always remember one very important thing: stay safe, but also stay humble.